Watch this rampage to get someone addicted to you. Proceed with caution. Imagine walking into a room without saying a single word, yet somehow every eye notices you. Imagine leaving a conversation, and hours later people are still thinking about your confidence, your peace, and the way you made them feel. Now imagine becoming so unforgettable that your presence lingers in someone's mind, not because you begged for attention, not because you played games, but because you became impossible to ignore. That is the kind of magnetism we're talking about today. The title of this message may sound bold. Watch this rampage to get someone addicted to you. Proceed with caution. But before your mind jumps to manipulation or mind games, understand this. The most powerful influence you will ever have over another person begins with the influence you have over yourself. No technique can replace genuine confidence. No strategy can outperform authentic self-worth. And no temporary trick can create the lasting impact of becoming the highest version of yourself. Most people spend their lives trying to change someone else's mind. They analyze every text message. They overthink every silence. They chase validation, approval, and affection, believing that if they just say the perfect words or do the perfect thing, someone will finally choose them. But that approach only drains your energy and places your happiness in someone else's hands. Today, everything changes. Today, we're going to flip the script. Instead of asking, how do I make someone think about me? We're going to ask, who must I become, so that my presence naturally leaves a lasting impression. That single question has the power to transform your relationships, your confidence, and your entire life. Here's the truth few people ever realize. People are drawn to certainty. They are attracted to authenticity. They remember those who radiate calm confidence, purpose, joy, and emotional strength. When you become deeply rooted in your own value, you stop chasing attention. And ironically, that's often when people begin noticing you the most. But there is a warning, and it deserves to be taken seriously. The stronger your presence becomes, the greater your responsibility. Influence is powerful. Charisma is powerful. Your words, your attitude, and your energy can affect the people around you. That's why this message isn't about making someone emotionally dependent on you. It's about becoming someone whose confidence, kindness, integrity, and purpose naturally inspire respect, admiration, and genuine connection. So as we begin this journey together, leave behind every belief that says you must compete for love, earn your worth, or convince someone that you're enough. You don't become unforgettable by pretending to be someone else. You become unfettable by fully becoming yourself. Stronger, wiser, more peaceful, and more authentic than ever before. If you're ready to stop chasing and start attracting, to replace fear with confidence, and to build the kind of presence that people remember long after you've left the room, then stay with me until the very end. Because what you're about to discover isn't a shortcut to controlling another person's heart. It's a blueprint for transforming your own. And that transformation has the power to change everything. The first truth you must understand is this. True magnetism begins with your self-concept. Before anyone can consistently recognize your value, you must first recognize it within yourself. The world has an incredible way of reflecting the identity you repeatedly accept as true. If, deep inside, you believe you are overlooked, unwanted, or never enough, you will unconsciously communicate that belief through your body language, your decisions, your conversations, and even your silence. But the moment you decide that you are already worthy of respect, appreciation, and genuine love, everything begins to shift. This transformation is not about pretending to be confident while secretly doubting yourself. It is about gradually replacing every limiting belief with one that empowers you. Every morning you wake up with an opportunity to choose your identity. You can choose to see yourself as someone constantly chasing attention, or you can choose to become the person whose confidence naturally draws people closer. That choice is made long before you meet anyone else. It is made in your own thoughts, in your private moments, and in the story you tell yourself every single day. Many people spend years trying to discover the perfect words to make someone think about them. They analyze conversations, replay text messages, and search endlessly for hidden techniques that promise instant attraction. Yet they overlook the greatest secret of all. People are naturally drawn to those who possess genuine inner certainty. There is something unforgettable about a person who is comfortable in their own skin, who does not need constant reassurance, and who carries themselves with quiet confidence instead of desperation. Confidence is not loud, it does not demand attention or force admiration. It simply exists. It creates an atmosphere where others feel safe, respected, and inspired. When you believe in your own worth, your actions become calmer, your decisions become wiser, and your relationships become healthier because they are no longer driven by fear of rejection. Think about the people who have left the strongest impression on your life. Chances are it was not because they tried to control your emotions or convince you to admire them. Instead, they were authentic. They listened with genuine interest. They treated others with kindness. They remained steady during difficult moments. They had goals beyond seeking approval, and that sense of purpose made them memorable. Authenticity has a quiet power that no manipulation can imitate. While temporary tactics may capture attention for a moment, authenticity builds trust that lasts. People remember those who make them feel respected, understood, and appreciated. They remember those whose confidence encourages others to become better versions of themselves. This is why your greatest investment should never be in changing another person's feelings. Your greatest investment should be in changing the way you see yourself. Build your knowledge, strengthen your character, improve your health, develop new skills, pursue meaningful goals. Fill your life with purpose so completely that your happiness no longer depends on one person's opinion. Ironically, when your life becomes rich with meaning, you stop chasing validation, and that quiet confidence often becomes one of your most attractive qualities. Others notice when someone is genuinely fulfilled because fulfillment creates a peaceful energy that cannot be faked. There is another important lesson hidden within this truth. Healthy attraction is never about making another person emotionally dependent on you. It is about becoming someone whose presence is consistently associated with honesty, warmth, confidence, and integrity. Relationships built on freedom, mutual respect, and shared choice are far stronger than those built on insecurity or control. When two people freely choose one another, their connection becomes resilient because it is rooted in trust rather than fear. Your goal, therefore, is not to make someone addicted to you. Your goal is to become so emotionally grounded, self-assured, and authentic that the people who belong in your life naturally appreciate your presence and choose to invest in the relationship. So begin today by changing the conversation happening inside your own mind. Replace self-doubt with self-respect. Replace desperation with patience. Replace fear with faith in your own growth. Stop measuring your value by how quickly someone responds to your message or how much attention they give you. Measure your value by the person you are becoming every day. As your self-concept strengthens, your presence changes. Your words carry greater conviction. Your actions reflect greater peace. Your relationships become healthier because they are built on confidence instead of neediness. This is the real rampage, the relentless commitment to transforming yourself from the inside out. And once that transformation takes place, you will no longer need to chase attention because your authentic character will speak more powerfully than any technique ever could. The second principle is one that many people completely misunderstand. Become emotionally unforgettable, not emotionally controlling. There is a tremendous difference between leaving a lasting impression on someone's heart and attempting to control their emotions. One is built on authenticity, respect, and genuine human connection. The other is built on fear, insecurity, and manipulation. If your goal is to create a relationship that stands the test of time, you must abandon every desire to force someone's feelings and instead focus on becoming a person whose presence naturally brings peace, confidence, inspiration, and joy. People may forget the exact words you spoke, but they rarely forget how you consistently made them feel. If every interaction with you leaves someone feeling respected, encouraged, understood, and accepted, your presence becomes associated with emotional safety. That kind of connection cannot be manufactured through tricks or mind games because it is earned through character. One of the greatest mistakes people make is believing that mystery means being emotionally unavailable or playing hard to get. True mystery is something entirely different. It is having a life so full of purpose, passion, and personal growth that you are not constantly seeking someone else's approval. You are reading books that expand your thinking. You are developing skills that strengthen your future. You are caring for your physical and emotional well-being. You are building meaningful friendships and pursuing goals that excite you. When your identity is rooted in purpose, instead of validation, you naturally become more interesting because your life reflects growth rather than neediness. Confidence grows quietly in people who know where they are going, and others are often drawn to that sense of direction. Another quality that makes someone emotionally unforgettable is consistency. Many individuals create excitement through unpredictability, believing that emotional highs and lows will keep someone interested. While inconsistency may create temporary excitement, it rarely creates lasting trust. Genuine relationships flourish when people know they can rely on one another. A kind word spoken consistently is more powerful than grand gestures followed by long periods of neglect. Reliability communicates maturity. Emotional stability communicates strength. Keeping your promises, showing respect even during disagreements, and responding with patience instead of impulsiveness are qualities that leave a much deeper impression than dramatic displays of affection. Anyone can impress someone for a day, but it takes character to inspire trust over months and years. Equally important is the ability to listen. Most people enter conversations focused on what they want to say next, rather than truly hearing the other person. Yet one of the greatest gifts you can offer another human being is your full attention. When someone feels genuinely heard, they also feel valued. They recognize that you care about their experiences, dreams, and concerns rather than simply waiting for your turn to speak. This kind of presence is rare in a world filled with distractions. A sincere conversation where someone feels understood often creates a stronger bond than countless superficial interactions. Your willingness to listen without judgment demonstrates confidence because secure people do not feel the need to dominate every conversation. They create space for others to be themselves. There is also remarkable strength in emotional balance. Do not allow another person's mood, opinion, or temporary distance to determine your own peace of mind. Continue living your life with purpose. Continue growing, learning, and becoming the best version of yourself, regardless of external circumstances. Emotional maturity means responding thoughtfully instead of reacting impulsively. It means choosing patience over panic and confidence over insecurity. People naturally respect those who remain grounded during uncertainty because emotional stability reflects inner strength. That stability becomes part of your identity and it influences every relationship you build. Always remember that genuine influence comes from example rather than pressure. Inspire others through your integrity, kindness, discipline, and compassion. Let your actions consistently match your words. Let your confidence encourage others rather than intimidate them. When your presence reflects authenticity instead of manipulation, people feel free to choose the relationship rather than feeling pushed into it. That freedom is what allows trust to grow. It is what transforms admiration into respect and attraction into a meaningful connection. The most unforgettable people are not those who make others emotionally dependent on them. They are those who consistently bring out the best in the people around them. Become that kind of person, and your influence will extend far beyond first impressions. It will be remembered because it was rooted in sincerity, strengthened by character, and expressed through genuine care. In the end, lasting attraction is never about controlling another person's heart. It is about cultivating a character that naturally earns trust, admiration, and authentic affection. The third principle is this: live as the version of yourself that is already deeply valued. Too many people postpone confidence until they receive external proof. They tell themselves, I'll feel worthy when someone chooses me, or I'll believe in myself once my relationship improves. But that way of thinking places your identity in someone else's hands. Lasting transformation begins the moment you decide that your worth is not waiting in the future. It is something you cultivate today. When you consistently see yourself as capable, lovable, resilient, and deserving of respect, your decisions begin to reflect that belief. You stop settling for relationships that diminish your spirit. You stop overanalyzing every conversation out of fear. You stop shrinking your personality to fit someone else's expectations. Instead, you begin showing up with quiet confidence, knowing that your value is determined by another person's opinion, but by the character you build and the integrity you choose to live by every day. This shift in identity changes the way you experience every interaction. When you believe you are already enough, you no longer approach conversations with the hidden agenda of seeking validation. You become more relaxed because you are no longer trying to prove your worth. You smile more naturally. You speak with greater clarity. You listen more attentively because you are not consumed by self-doubt. Your confidence becomes genuine rather than performative. Ironically, this authenticity often makes you far more memorable than any carefully rehearsed strategy ever could. People are naturally drawn to those who are comfortable with themselves because that inner security creates an atmosphere of ease and trust. Instead of feeling pressured, others feel invited to know the real you. Living as your highest self also means refusing to let temporary setbacks define your identity. Everyone experiences rejection, disappointment, and uncertainty. These moments are part of being human. The difference is that emotionally grounded people do not allow a single setback to rewrite the story they believe about themselves. They recognize that one unanswered message does not diminish their worth. One failed relationship does not determine their future. One difficult season does not erase their potential. They continue investing in their growth, believing that every challenge is preparing them to become wiser, stronger, and more compassionate. This mindset creates resilience, and resilience is one of the most attractive qualities a person can possess because it reflects strength without arrogance. Another essential part of this principle is learning to let go of desperation. Desperation causes people to chase outcomes they cannot control. It creates anxiety, overthinking, and emotional exhaustion. Confidence, however, allows you to focus on what is within your control: your attitude, your actions, your habits, and your personal growth. Instead of constantly wondering what another person is thinking, you ask yourself, am I becoming someone who reflects honesty, kindness, courage, and purpose? That question shifts your attention from external approval to internal development. The more you invest in your own growth, the less your happiness depends on another person's response. Ironically, this freedom often strengthens your relationships because you are connecting from a place of wholeness rather than emotional need. There is remarkable power in consistency. Becoming your highest self is not accomplished through one motivational moment or one inspiring conversation. It is built through daily choices that reinforce the identity you wish to embody. Every time you keep a promise to yourself, you strengthen self-trust. Every time you choose patience instead of panic, discipline instead of excuses, gratitude instead of resentment, you reinforce the belief that you are capable of handling life's challenges with wisdom and grace. These seemingly small decisions accumulate over time until confidence becomes part of your character rather than something you occasionally feel. People notice this quiet consistency because it communicates authenticity. Your life begins to align with your values, and that alignment is far more compelling than any attempt to impress others. Ultimately, the greatest transformation is not convincing someone else to recognize your value. It is reaching the point where you no longer question it yourself. When you live from a place of self-respect, you naturally attract healthier relationships because you stop accepting less than mutual respect and genuine care. You become someone who encourages others through your example, rather than trying to influence them through pressure or manipulation. Your presence becomes memorable because it reflects integrity, emotional stability, and confidence rooted in character. This is the true power of living as the version of yourself that is already deeply valued. It is not about pretending to be someone you are not. It is about uncovering the strength, dignity, and authenticity that have always existed within you and allowing those qualities to shape every thought, every choice, and every relationship you build. When you do that consistently, your life changes from the inside out, and the connections you create become healthier, deeper, and far more meaningful. The fourth principle is one of the most liberating lessons you will ever learn. Stop chasing and let your presence do the work. There comes a moment in every person's journey when they realize that constantly pursuing attention is exhausting. Chasing approval, chasing affection, chasing reassurance, and chasing someone else's validation creates a cycle where your peace depends on factors you cannot control. The harder you chase, the more anxious you become, and the more anxious you become, the less authentic you appear. But when you shift your focus from pursuing people to pursuing your own growth, everything begins to change. You no longer wake up wondering who will notice you today. Instead, you wake up asking how you can become wiser, stronger, kinder, and more purposeful than you were yesterday. That simple shift transforms your energy because your confidence is no longer borrowed from another person's opinion. It is built from the promises you keep to yourself and the life you intentionally create. One of the greatest signs of emotional maturity is learning that your worth is never determined by someone else's response. A delayed message, a missed opportunity, or a relationship that doesn't unfold the way you hoped does not reduce your value. Too many people allow temporary circumstances to define their identity, but emotionally grounded individuals refuse to surrender their confidence to external events. They understand that rejection is not always a reflection of inadequacy. Sometimes it is simply a reflection of incompatibility, timing, or different life paths. Instead of taking every disappointment personally, they use each experience as an opportunity to grow. This mindset protects your peace because you realize, Paul, that your purpose is far greater than earning one person's approval. Your life has meaning independent of who notices you, and that realization is incredibly freeing. When you stop chasing, you also discover the beauty of detachment. Detachment does not mean becoming cold, indifferent, or emotionally unavailable. It means caring deeply without allowing your happiness to depend entirely on the outcome. It means loving without trying to possess, giving without expecting constant recognition, and trusting that what is truly meant for your life will not require you to abandon your dignity or compromise your values. Detachment creates emotional balance because you no longer operate from fear. Instead of asking, "What if they leave?" you begin asking, "Am I becoming someone who lives with integrity, purpose, and compassion?" That question returns your focus to the only person you can truly transform, yourself. As your attention shifts inward, something remarkable happens. You begin investing your energy in the areas that genuinely enrich your life. You develop new skills that increase your confidence. You improve your physical health because you value your well-being. You deepen your spiritual life, strengthen your character, and pursue goals that give your days meaning. You surround yourself with uplifting people who encourage your growth instead of draining your energy. Every achievement, every lesson learned, and every challenge overcome strengthens your sense of identity. You are no longer defined by whether someone else chooses you, because you have already chosen to become the best version of yourself. That quiet confidence is difficult to ignore because it is genuine. It does not seek attention, it naturally earns respect. There is also tremendous power in patience. Our culture often promotes instant gratification, encouraging people to force outcomes before the right time. But meaningful relationships, lasting success, and deep personal transformation all require patience. Growth cannot be rushed. Trust cannot be demanded. Respect cannot be manipulated. These qualities develop through consistent actions over time. When you embrace patience, you release the pressure to control every situation. You become comfortable allowing life to unfold while continuing to improve yourself each day. This calm persistence communicates emotional strength because it shows that your confidence is rooted in faith, discipline, and long-term vision rather than temporary emotions. Never underestimate the influence of a life lived with purpose. A person who wakes up each morning, driven by meaningful goals, naturally radiates enthusiasm and confidence. Their conversations become richer because they are constantly learning. Their attitude becomes more positive because they are focused on possibilities instead of limitations. Their presence becomes uplifting because they are not seeking to take from others. They are looking for ways to contribute. People remember individuals who inspire them, encourage them, and bring genuine value into their lives. That kind of influence is lasting because it is built on authenticity rather than performance. So let your presence do the work. Stop trying to convince people of your value and start living in a way that reflects it every single day. Walk with humility, speak with kindness, act with integrity, and remain committed to your own growth regardless of who is watching. The right people will recognize your character without needing to be persuaded. Healthy relationships are built through mutual respect, shared values, and genuine choice, not through pressure or emotional games. When you release the need to chase and instead focus on becoming a person of purpose, peace, and confidence, you create a life that naturally attracts meaningful connections. That is the true power of personal magnetism. Not forcing others to follow you, but becoming someone whose authenticity, strength, and character make a lasting and positive impression wherever you go. The fifth and final principle is perhaps the most important of all. Proceed with caution because true influence carries great responsibility. By now you have learned that genuine magnetism is not about tricks, manipulation, or making another person emotionally dependent on you. It is about becoming the kind of person whose confidence, integrity, and authenticity naturally inspire trust and admiration. That is why this final lesson serves as both a reminder and a warning. Every word you speak, every action you take, and every intention you carry has the power to shape the relationships you build. The question is not whether you can influence people. You already do. The real question is whether your influence leaves others stronger, more respected, and more encouraged than they were before they met you. The greatest form of personal power is never measured by how much control you have over someone else's emotions. It is measured by how faithfully you remain true to your values, even when you have the opportunity to choose otherwise. Many people confuse influence with control, but the two are completely different. Control seeks to limit another person's freedom. Influence inspires another person to exercise their freedom wisely. Control is fueled by fear of losing someone. Influence is fueled by confidence that genuine relationships never require manipulation to survive. If someone must be pressured, deceived, or emotionally trapped in order to stay connected with you, then the relationship is built on an unstable foundation. Healthy relationships thrive because both people willingly choose to invest in one another. They communicate honestly. They respect boundaries. They celebrate each other's growth instead of feeling threatened by it. This kind of connection creates security because it is rooted in mutual trust rather than emotional dependence. Another responsibility that comes with personal magnetism is protecting your own heart. Becoming more confident does not mean saying yes to everyone who enters your life. It also means developing the wisdom to recognize relationships that align with your values and respectfully walking away from those that consistently undermine your peace. Self-respect requires healthy boundaries. It means understanding that kindness does not require sacrificing your dignity, and compassion does not require tolerating disrespect. When you truly value yourself, you naturally become more selective about the people you allow into your life. This is not arrogance, it is wisdom. You cannot build a healthy future while continually returning to environments that diminish your confidence or compromise your character. There is also incredible strength in choosing integrity when shortcuts seem tempting. You may occasionally encounter advice that promises instant traction through manipulation, emotional games, or psychological pressure. Those methods may appear effective for a moment, but they rarely produce the kind of relationship that brings lasting fulfillment. Authentic love cannot grow in an atmosphere of deception. Trust cannot flourish where honesty is absent. The strongest relationships are built slowly through consistency, respect, patience, and genuine care. These qualities may not deliver immediate results, but they create something far more valuable, a connection that can endure challenges, because it rests on truth instead of illusion. As you continue your journey of personal growth, remember that your greatest achievement will never be convincing someone else that you are extraordinary. Your greatest achievement will be becoming someone whose daily actions reflect extraordinary character. Continue learning. Continue improving your physical, emotional, and spiritual well-being. Continue showing kindness without expecting applause. Continue speaking with honesty even when it is difficult. Continue honoring your commitments even when no one is watching. These habits shape your identity, and your identity ultimately shapes every relationship you experience. People are naturally drawn to those who live with consistency, because consistency creates trust, and trust is the foundation of every meaningful connection. Perhaps the most beautiful realization of all is that when you stop trying to force life to unfold according to your timetable, you begin experiencing relationships with greater peace. You no longer fear being alone because you enjoy becoming the person you were created to be. You no longer compete for attention because you recognize that your value is not diminished by someone else's inability to see it. You no longer live from scarcity because you trust that meaningful relationships are built through mutual choice, shared values, and authentic connection. This quiet confidence transforms not only the way others perceive you, but also the way you perceive yourself. You become calmer under pressure, wiser in your decisions, and more grateful for every opportunity to grow. So as this journey comes to a close, remember the true meaning behind this message. The real rampage is not directed toward changing another person's mind. It is directed toward transforming your own life. It is a relentless commitment to replacing insecurity with confidence, fear with faith, comparison with gratitude, and desperation with purpose. It is choosing integrity over manipulation, patience over pressure, and authentic connection over temporary control. When you embrace these principles every day, you become someone whose presence naturally leaves a lasting impression, because it is grounded in character, strengthened by self-respect, and guided by genuine care for others. That is the kind of influence that endures. That is the kind of confidence that cannot be taken away. And that is the kind of life that attracts relationships built not on obsession, but on mutual respect, trust, and lasting appreciation.